Okay, let's talk to Jose. Pronouns he, him. I invited this person to call in about Gaza because he posted some stuff on my threads. Follow me on threads, or don't, because threads sucks. So let's talk to Jose. You're on the line with Forrest and Owen. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah. So what I specifically said to you on threads here was like, call in and I will go over your 3 points that you made in your post. And I took a screenshot of that. And I've got your 3 points here, which we will go over here in a moment. But I want to ask you if you'd like to start the conversation in any particular way.
Yeah, just, thanks a lot. I'm one of you guys. I know it's hard to believe. I've been called Blue MAGA so much that might as well just go ahead and think of me as the average voter right now. The Gaza movement does not enjoy popular support. And so I'm basically going to play devil's advocate here and just be like, this is how, quote unquote, Blue MAGA thinks, how MAGA thinks, how the vast majority of the American electorate thinks. And so I'm going to give you my best point.
I would prefer you didn't play devil's advocate and actually just talked about what you think. Because I'm not trying to argue with like this ethereal, whatever voter that you think exists. I want to talk to you. And if you have a point to make, that's what I want to talk about. Is that cool?
Fantastic. And my whole point of just saying that was I truly believe, and like if you all knew me, you would also agree that me and you and Owen are on the same side of 90 to 95% of issues. And that's the only thing that I was trying to say with that.
Sure. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. So do you have a place you want to kick it off, or do you want me just to go straight into the points that you made on threads?
Well, just real quick, you kind of did it again during the show. I really don't like it when people say that there's a genocide in Gaza. I think it's harmful. I think it hurts the movement. I think it hurts the party. I think it hurts people in Gaza. What else? I really wish you all would stop saying that. I say you all because all of you on the almost every host, I can't say I've heard every host refer to it that way. And so, I really just wish that you all would just not do that. And so that's kind of the point of my call, is to see if I could convince you to stop saying that.
So let's start there, and we'll see how far we can get into the actual specific points that you made, because that, I think, is the major overarching issue. I think everything else that we talked about on threads could really be boiled down into just that point. Can you please give me, Jose, the definition of the word genocide?
Yeah, of course. And genocide is, it's going to sound like dumb, but it depends how you mean it. If you mean genocide, it is an inherently illegal term. And so the only way to be guilty of genocide is to be convicted in a court of genocide. That's not my argument by any means, that it doesn't technically count as a genocide. But I'm just trying to figure out what...
Okay, well, let's not make not your argument. Let's not make not your argument. I want to hear because I could sit here and say, yeah, I killed the guy, but you can't call it murder until I'm convicted in court. I still killed the person. It's murder, right? So
no. That's what I'm trying to say is not my argument. That's what I'm trying to say is not my argument.
Great. So let's not focus on not your argument. What is the definition of the word genocide? Okay,
so when you say genocide, what do you mean? Because if you just mean forcible relocation of by settlers or whatever, I understand that that's one act of genocide.
That's more in line with ethnic cleansing. I'm asking you for the definition of the word genocide, because when I say the word genocide, I mean the definition of the word. I'm using that word on purpose and deliberately. I'm not using it hyperbolically. I'm not using it for clicks. So I mean the definition. So can you give me the definition?
That's what I was trying to get you to, trying to get you to state your hard position on. Okay, so when you say genocide, the majority of your listeners think you mean systematic extermination of a people.
I don't care what people think I don't care what people think I mean.
Is that what you mean when you say that?
Jose, listen to me. I don't care what people think I mean. I just told you I am using it the proper way, using the specific definition. I am asking you, do you know the definition of the word?
Yes.
What is it?
Okay, so the textbook definition of genocide, man, it's complex, but it has to do with, it has several aspects to it, with like relocation and this kind of stuff.
It has 5 aspects.
Right? Is that what you mean?
It has 5 aspects. Genocide is Genocide is any one of 5 very specific actions with one very specific intention. It is not a fuzzy term. It is not a term that could be misconstrued or misinterpreted a lot of different ways. It has a very specific definition of exactly 5 actions with exactly one intention. That is the way that I use the term. I'm happy to detail this out to you, but I want to know, do you know that definition?
I've heard it. I'm familiar with it. I can't name it verbatim right now, but I accept your explanation of that definition. Yes.
Okay, so why are you so upset about me using the word genocide when that is exactly precisely what I mean and exactly precisely what is going on in Gaza when you don't even know what the word means?
That's an assertion on your part.
Jose, you don't know whether or not I'm right because you can't give me the definition of the word.
I accept your definition, but you just made an assertion.
Okay, if you accept my definition of genocide, which I haven't even given you yet. If you accept the definition of genocide as it is in plain English, as I am telling you is what I'm using, then you would agree that that's what's happening. Sure, it's an assertion is what I'm saying is happening. But if you accept the definition, it is incontrovertible that that is what is going on in Gaza.
I disagree.
How? What specific part of the definition do you disagree with, considering the fact that you don't know it?
Men's rape, intent. Israel is not trying to do whatever you're assuming and asserting that they are trying to do. That's
you
just
don't
the
know
bottom
what I'm
line.
assuming or asserting because you don't know the definition of genocide.
And you could have told us, Forrest. So please, I'm listening.
I could have. I'm happy to do so. And by the end of this call, I will. But I want to make it very clear here that you are calling in chastising us for using the word genocide to describe a genocide when you don't know what a genocide is.
And earlier you said you don't care what people hear, but you should care because you have a platform. And if you can't tell me why you think there's a genocide and convince me or convince the general public, then you look like a fool and you're doing harm to your cause and you're doing harm to the people of Gaza. You should care what people hear when you say genocide.
So, of course, I care what people hear. What I'm trying to get across to you is that that's not my
contrary
problem.
to what you said earlier.
No, hold on. Of course, I care inevitably what they're hearing. That's why education is important. But I'm not going to stop using the word because people have a misunderstanding of it. Similarly, I teach about evolution all the time, and I get comments all the time saying evolution's just a theory. So when I call it the theory of evolution, they say, aha, that means hypothesis. I can dismiss that. I don't have to believe in that. That's just some random idea. That's not what the word theory means. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop using the word theory because I'm using the word theory correctly. I don't have to stop using the words that are appropriate. You can let me finish what I'm saying. You can let me finish what I'm saying. I'm not going to stop using the word theory correctly because people are interpreting it incorrectly. I'm going to try to educate them on what the word theory actually means and hope they listen, but I'm not going to change my vernacular for their ignorance. Similarly, I am not going to stop using the word genocide to describe genocide because people don't know what genocide means. I'm not going to change my vernacular for your ignorance, Jose. The word genocide has a very, very specific definition, and I am using it appropriately. What is your question you got for me and Owen?
You said intent. Okay, the question was, do you think Israel or the IDF is trying to systematically exterminate every last Gazan? Yes or no?
Parts of it, yes. I am not going to speak for all of Israel, but yes, there is demonstrable evidence of that.
I disagree, and that's a very strong assertion, and you should have some very strong evidence. I won't throw Owen under the bus, but Owen, if you'd like to answer the question, I would love.
Yeah, sure. I would love to answer. Yes.
Yeah.
The answer is we have all kinds of strong evidence indicating how absolutely out of their heads some of the people are. A weirdly high proportion of people are in Israel. Like, I forget. I'm. So you're gonna have to fact check me on this, but I believe a poll showed something like 60% of people in Israel, like Israelis, believe that there are no non-combatants in Gaza. There is a really disturbing trend of people saying and doing some bizarrely weird stuff, and not just people, but like government leaders. Netanyahu is a moderate in some political circles, and he wants a genocide. That dude wants a genocide. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, like, whether they are actually committing that or not, you have to concede that that is their stated goal: collective punishment and everything else. Like, I have literal video clips of people in command saying things like that.
So what you're saying is what people say matters. What people say matters is what you're saying, Owen, correct? For example,
I feel like you're trying to set me up for a ridiculous trap, but yes, what people say matters.
Whether or not, earlier you said whether or not it's happening. So that's you conceding that it may or may not be happening.
No, I said regardless of whether it is. But it doesn't matter if it is ultimately, because the people at the top are expressing an interest in doing it. But yes, what people say matters.
Okay, great.
And
so
also, what he said is
average
not
Gazan
conceding.
Say, time out. What does?
I just want to clarify what you said is not true.
About Israel.
What he said, I'm just going to clarify again. What he said does, and I'm going to answer your question as well, because that question is dumb as all fuck. Just to be clear, what Owen just said does not mean that it may or may not be happening. If you know the definition of the word genocide, actually what he said really helps strongly support the evidence that there is a genocide going on. Again, we're going to get to that definition in a minute, because it's really important that you know it.
I prefer more about the evidence. Evidence, but it's your show.
I prefer the definition, considering the fact you're telling me I'm using the word wrong. The follow-up question that you gave was, what does the average Gazan? Your follow-up question was, what does the average Gazan think about Israel? Right?
Does it matter what they say? Is my question.
No. Genuinely, legitimately, no.
Okay, but it does matter what Israelis say about Gaza, according to Owen, correct?
No, that's not what he said.
My point is, you can't accuse someone of genocide because they're saying they want the genocide.
That's not. Look, brother, that is not why anybody is saying that. That's not what anyone is saying. They are committing a genocide. No, brother. All right, look, I'm going to mute you for just a second. All right, and then we'll come back. I said I went to establish their intent. They very clearly are interested in committing a genocide, and they actually are doing it. My point was, it doesn't matter. My point is that these people have an interest in doing it, and that goes to the quote-unquote mens rea, as you mentioned earlier. You're trying to split this off and turn it into something it's not. Okay, you're unmuted.
Sorry. Okay, so you're the ones that are actually trying to separate the two issues. You have to have both. You have to have a genocide and the intention of a genocide. You have to have both. From where I'm standing, you don't have again.
No, you're showing again and again that you don't know the fucking definition of the word genocide. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this in real quick, because we're now 13 minutes into you claiming that we're using the word genocide wrong while not knowing what the fuck genocide is. So let me now educate you on the actual definition of the fucking word as established by the UN Genocide Convention when the UN was established in response to genocide, right? So the actual definition of the word genocide is any one or more of 5 very specific actions, which I'm going to explain, that are taken with the intention of eradicating a religious, ethnic, national, racial, whatever group, either in whole or in part. That's a very clear distinction. The actual definition of the word of the genocide says it is actions taken with the intention of destroying this group either in whole or in part. And the 5 very specific actions are killing members of the group, causing severe mental or bodily harm to members of the group, creating conditions of life meant to bring about the group's physical destruction, again, either in whole or in part, preventing births within the group, or transferring children from the group to another group. Now, dependent on the way that you interpret certain data, those last two, you could argue, are happening. But the first three are beyond a shadow of a doubt happening. Now, the key here is the intention part of that very initial clause, because without that, you could call literally any war, any murder, any fist fight a genocide, and that doesn't make any sense. So that first part that says that you have to have the saying that these people are committing these actions with the specific intention of destroying this specific group, either in whole or in part. When we look at the record of things that Israeli officials themselves have said, we have here in 2023, the Israeli Minister of Defense, there will be no food, no electricity, no fuel. We are fighting human animals and we will act accordingly. We have here Benjamin Netanyahu. We will turn.
Did that happen?
I'm going to mute you so you can shut the fuck up and actually listen to things. Benjamin Netanyahu, we will turn them into rubble. I'm telling the people of Gaza, get out of there now. We're going to act everywhere with all of our force. We have the Israeli member of the Knesset. I think I've never learned how to say that properly. Right now, one goal, Nakba. Nakba that will overshadow the Nakba of 48. Nakba in Gaza and Nakba to anyone who dares to join. We have the Israeli President Herzog. It is an entire nation that is responsible. We have Israeli army spokesperson. The emphasis is on damage, not on accuracy. We have the former, at the time, Israeli Minister of National Security. The only thing that needs to enter Gaza are hundreds of tons of explosives from the Air Force and not 1 ounce of humanitarian aid. We have banners and billboards around Israel that say, victory equals 0 residents in Gaza. So we have repeated stated intention from high-ranking officials and the public in general that the entirety of Gaza is at fault. The entirety of Gaza is culpable in whatever has happened to them. Specifically, this is referring mainly to October 7th, that all of Gaza is now Hamas, and that all of Gaza will be punished. And what do we see when you are asking so fucking stupidly, is that happening? Yes, that is exactly what's happening, because right now we have mass starvation in this region. We have Israel cutting off all aid entering the region, cutting off electricity entering the region, cutting off water entering the region, destroying water sources, shooting people who are trying to go get food, shooting people who are trying to go fishing. We have not only very clear evidence, which I'm happy to lay out for you in ways that you cannot fucking deny, very clear evidence of just absolute wanton destruction across the entirety of Gaza. But we also have situations where just since May, over 1,000 Gazans have been shot down by the Israeli military while trying to get aid from food trucks. While these starving people, because we've already had, I believe it's well over 100 people who have starved to death, mostly children, and those are just the ones on record. We already have countless images of skeletal bodies, mostly children, pouring out of this region. When these desperate, starving people are going to get food from these aid trucks, they are being shot down by Israeli soldiers. That has happened systematically and repeatedly again and again throughout the course of this, and it has happened especially recently with over 1,000 instances just since May. And when they get the food, a lot of it is rotten, a lot of it is way too much to survive on, some of it has opioids crushed up into it. There are tons of food waiting at the border of Gaza, but Israel controls everything that goes in and out. And so you have 2 million people crammed into a tiny corner of a tiny box as they have been systematically pushed further and further and further and further south. And then when they get to the last safe zone, just like every refugee camp, just like every university, just like every hospital, just like every school, just like every mosque, just like every church, they are bombed there. Because that has happened at every one of those locations across Gaza. Every single hospital. Every single school, every single fucking mosque, every single bit of civilian infrastructure. Over 80% of civilian infrastructure irreparably damaged. That's what we're seeing. Now, when you ask, is this putting people out? Yeah, out of the region. Is that genocide? No, that's ethnic cleansing, which also these people are calling for. Let all these other Arab countries take all these people. That is calling for ethnic cleansing, yes. Donald Trump's dumbass saying we should just get all these people out of Gaza. That is ethnic cleansing, yes. But that's not what we're talking about. Again, when we're talking about genocide, when I use the word genocide, I use that word on purpose because that is what it is and that is what the definition is. Now, Jose, you may ask follow-up questions.
That was a lot of assertions. I really don't know how to address that. You're literally repeating Hamas propaganda word for word, just like you did with the New York Times article. I'd love to talk about the New York Times article if you have a second.
Nope. We're going to stick to what I just said because what I just said is a direct contradiction to the points you were trying to make. And the only rebuttal you have so far is all I'm doing is asserting the direct quotes that I just gave you and the direct definition that I just gave you, both of which
you heard? Okay, I have a question. Have you heard of Al-Ali Hospital?
I would love for you to actually address what I just said rather than just jumping to the next thing that makes you more comfortable.
You didn't ask me anything. You just, go ahead. I don't know, dude. Like, you just made a whole bunch of assertions, said some really bad lies about Jews. No, I mean, I just don't. You're basically
lies about Jews.
What did I say about Jews, Jose? Specifically, what did I just say about Jews?
I mean, all that mean shit, all the lies that you just said right now. Where do you want me to start? It was quite the gish gather.
What specifically did I just say about Jews? I gave you direct quotes from high-ranking members of the Israeli government. I gave you the definition of the word genocide, and I gave you specific things that you can easily look up and verify about what we've seen in Gaza over the past 2 years. What specifically did I say about Jews? Because I don't remember saying a fucking word about Jews.
My bad. I apologize. I jumped to conclusion.
You fucking should.
Israel,
no, you fucking should. Because that right there, Jose, what you just did, and you say, oh, it was a fucking accident. What you just did is anti-Semitic as fuck, and that is what is causing the actual fucking problems with this discourse. When people equate any criticism of the Israeli government to a criticism of Jews in general, that is fucked up and stupid, and you should do better.
I'm sorry.
And causing
I'm a
problems.
Zionist, so I become by
You're
accident.
gonna fucking call in and tell me that I'm making things worse for Gazans, and then you pull that horse shit.
I'm sorry. It was an accident. It really was. Can we jump back on topic and go back to your three that you conceded were the ones, right?
My what?
Oh, FYI, I'm sorry. One quick thing. I do have this clip of an Israeli official describing what they are doing as collective punishment, which is a war crime. They are collectively punishing Gazans. We don't have to hold on. We don't have to look at these quotes from the New York Times. We can hear it from his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You know why that's not exactly conclusive, but that's neither here nor there. If we can just jump to the...
No.
What do you mean not conclusive?
Do you remember the definition of genocide that I just gave you, Jose?
What if he's a disgruntled guy, or is it open public? I mean, I would love to see the video, but I haven't seen it.
Jose,
I'd love to see it.
Go ahead.
What's up?
No, I'm just that fits in the definition. The definition is any one of those five things.
What's your shot
one
caller?
specific.
If he wasn't a shot caller, then it's irrelevant what his opinion is.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
He is a shot caller.
First of all, I don't know who this person is, but I believe what Owen's saying.
Ilan is his name.
Second of all,
I'm sorry. I would like to say something, but whenever y'all ready.
If this person is actually a high-ranking member of this government, and they are saying these things and not being excoriated for it, then yes, it absolutely still fucking counts. Owen, can you please tell us more about this clip?
Yes, Danny Ilan, he's an Israeli diplomat. He's a politician, ambassador to the United States, 2002 to 2006. a foreign policy advisor currently, I believe, deputy minister of foreign affairs and Knesset member. It's a 2-minute clip. I don't know if we have time. I can play it if you want, but
I would love for you to play it.
Clearly, you want me to play?
No,
okay.
Come on, guys. I want to clip.
Oh, okay, God, no, not evidence. I'm going to put you on mute while we take this clip because I don't want you interrupting, Jose.
All right, I'm flipping over here.
Yeah, go for it.
Continue on the same vein because the Secretary General of the
Wait, I don't. Can you guys hear it?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Yes. Said that he was deeply distressed by Israel's announcement of a siege on the Gaza Strip. He said that the humanitarian situation, quote, will only deteriorate exponentially and that crucial life-saving supplies, including fuel, food, and water, must be allowed into Gaza. So the UN is saying you must do this. You are saying you're not going to do this. How do you?
No, we're not saying that.
He's saying do it. He's saying doing it immediately. What I'm saying is what you're doing. No. He's saying doing it immediately. I got you. I'll tell you exactly what we're saying. I'm saying we will do everything for the Gazan people. Once and now we demand immediate surrender, unconditional surrender of Hamas. If Hamas people come out with their hands up and clear their weapons, believe me, everything will be restored to Gaza. It is Hamas in Hamas hands. Now I understand. Thank you for clarifying that, sir. I think we're actually on the same page here. You're saying that once Hamas leaves, you'll grant the Gazan people food, shelter, fuel, electricity, hospitals, schooling. And if they don't, and if Hamas doesn't leave, then they'll continue to starve and die in hospitals. You are defining for the international community right now collective punishment. You're saying until Hamas acts differently, the 2 million people in Gaza are going to be treated this way. And once Hamas acts differently, these 2 million people in Gaza will be treated better. That is exactly what collective punishment is. You're holding them accountable for the actions of others. That is the definition, the textbook definition of collective punishment, sir. Now, you may accept that that's what you want to do, but this is absolutely a contravention of international law.
Well, I'll tell you exactly. No, had we pushed them to the wall, we're not pushing them to the wall. We want to open a humanitarian corridor so they can leave. But if Hamas,
so that who can leave? Citizens? You're saying civilians can leave, but only through the Rafah border, correct?
At this point, yes.
So they can't come.
Where else?
Your country. They can come into Israel.
I'm telling you one more thing I want to say.
I want you to address that point. Don't just smile, sir, respectfully. You're saying you're making a corridor. They can go to Egypt. You're bombing them. You say you want to save them, but they can't come in.
Okay, I think, that's the end of the clip. This clip is from 2023. 2023, October 13th, 2023. So there you go. That is an example of an Israeli official saying they are committing a war crime. They have the intent to commit a war crime. They want to, and that's what they're doing.
Not to mention, that is the alternatives. The options here are collective punishment and genocide or ethnic cleansing. Those are the options that the people have. It's absolutely disgusting. So, Jose, what do you think about that very clear evidence of a high-ranking official clearly stating that he intends to commit genocide?
2 points. I did not get that from that conversation. Going back to what Owen said about the UN, does it matter what people say? Yes, it matters according to if you know anything about the genocide case against Israel from the ICC, it has to do with things initiated before the war in Gaza. And that's where you guys are getting it from. That's what they're charged. That is the evidence they have of a genocide, is the statement from Benjamin Netanyahu and from that other guy you mentioned. But there was never a blockade, which is the thing. You have to have both. You have to have intent and you have to have the blockade. But there has been nonstop food, water, electricity, and internet nonstop since the war began. So it's going to be very hard to prove a case. I'm sorry, I'm not done. It's going to be very hard to prove a case for genocide when Israel is on camera dropping aid from planes, delivering aids in trucks, and these trucks are getting hijacked by Hamas. That negates the intent.
They are also,
on all of the
no, it does not, Jose. No, it does not, Jose. Two things that are really important. Number one, they are also on camera shooting people who are going to get that aid. They are also on camera bombing humanitarian aid trucks. They are also on camera killing humanitarian aid workers. They are also on camera shooting doctors. There are also several accounts of of doctors saying, I don't wear scrubs because people who wear scrubs get shot. There are also plenty of accounts of babies with sniper bullets in their heads. So the most deliberate kind of bullet in baby heads.
That's more assertion for it.
No, that is fucking evidence, Jose. This is evidence that is vetted and actually presented by reputable news agencies. And if you want better evidence, and you think that there should be, Jose, shut the fuck up. If you think that there should be better evidence and you want more details, then maybe Israel should allow fucking international news to enter Gaza and actually collect details on what's going on. Because right now, they won't let journalists into Gaza, and they have killed over 100 journalists that were already there. They are shooting people in press vests, shooting people who are waving white flags. They killed their own hostages who are waving white flags, shouting in Hebrew, "We are hostages, please help us," because there are so many counts of them shooting people with their hands up, begging for help, that they couldn't tell the fucking difference between Gazans and Israelis. And they are killing these journalists and these doctors and these humanitarian aid workers, lying about it, saying, oh, it was an accident. And then we find later that here's this ambulance that has been bulldozed into a pit and buried in the same mass grave as hundreds of other innocent people. We have incidences of children being shot to pieces in a car over a course of days, along with every single ambulance worker that went to get them. If you think that these stories are bullshit, maybe they should stop killing journalists so that we can get better stories. But as of right now, all we have are the clips that are coming out from eyewitness testimonies, which are more than enough to prove that this is serious. And I'm going to show you, after Owen says something here, I'm going to show you something that you would have to just fucking tell me your eyes don't work to deny what's going on. Owen, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't need to make any assertions or assumptions or any of that. I just showed an example of an Israeli official openly stating that he intends to commit a war crime of collective punishment. And we have countless quotes from these people, like, no assertions necessary. You say that we need to allow journalists in. We don't even, because we have the evidence. We're not waiting for the evidence. We have it, right? Anyway, okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to really quickly, Jose, I'm going to give you 1 second to respond to this because I'm about to show you something else and I really want to hear what you have to say about it. So
let me walk up
I want to be very clear. This is not an assertion. This is not us regurgitating propaganda. This is us commenting on what international news organizations are showing every day, backed by what the actual Israeli government is saying they're going to do.
And I would have to argue that them trying to help the Gazan people negates all intent. So, I mean, I'm remain unconvinced.
I want to continue on this same page. General,
sorry.
It absolutely does not negate all intent because that's not what how the definition of genocide works. Sorry. If they kill a bunch of fucking people systematically, and the third thing on that list was creating conditions of life meant to bring about their physical destruction in whole or in part, it doesn't matter if they stop shooting for a little while. It doesn't matter if they drop some measly bread once in a while. What matters is the amount of children starved to death. What matters is the amount of people massacred. What matters is the amount of refugee camps bombed. What matters is the amount of hospitals destroyed. What matters is the amount of people who are killed just walking down the road on camera. No guns, no weapons, nothing. What matters is the fact that we have had reports in Haaretz, which is an Israeli newspaper, just a few weeks ago.
It's a rag. It's a rag. Don't go. You know it's not a legit news source.
Yes,
Come on.
It's just some fucking people in Israel writing quotes from Israeli soldiers saying that they are killing people waiting in line. Yeah, keep that smug fucking laugh because I'm about to give you more evidence on top of this. So here you've got Haaretz, this newspaper in Israel, which is publishing quotes from Israeli soldiers. I can pull up the article for you if you'd like, saying, yes, we're allowed to just shoot people who are waiting in line for food. There's not a single instance that I have ever seen of any of these people shooting back at us. There are no weapons. There is no opposition. There is no threat. We just get to shoot at them. And then a week after that article is published from this, silly, illegitimate rag, we have the Associated Press, not a silly, illegitimate rag, publishing the exact same quotes coming out of the mouths of American contractors who are there at those aid distribution sites, who are calling those aid sites completely amateur, completely unprofessional, completely ill-operated, and saying that they and their colleagues and the Israeli soldiers are shooting at unarmed, non-combatant people looking for food. So you have the Associated Press publishing quotes from American service members saying the exact same fucking thing that the Haaretz paper is saying about Israeli soldiers saying the exact same fucking thing. And that goes right on top of all of the videos that Israeli soldiers post on their own social media of them destroying people's houses, destroying medical equipment, laughing at the deaths of innocent people. So yes, you have very clearly at least 3 of the 5 conditions of genocide, arguably all 5, but at least 3 of the 5. And yes, you have stated intent from soldiers and government officials. Now, what I think is really fucking important is that one of the things that you said on Threads that I said I was going to address is that the Israeli army has shown lots of restraint. They've shown all this great restraint. More restraint than any other army in the world, I believe was your actual quote. So let me just go ahead and pull up Google Earth here. And I'm going to see if I can go full screen on that. There we go. And I'm going to open up OBS and I'm going to just show my display capture. Can we get me full screen for just a second so that I don't know where in the screen I need to have this display. Can we pull me up for just a second? Is that cool? There we go. Thank you so much. So here I have my display of Google Earth here. And you can see here is Israel here. And we're going to zoom in. Here's Gaza, right? And we're going to go straight into Gaza City. Now here you can see what Gaza City looks like. These are images from 2020. Cool thing about Google Earth you can do is you can actually set it back to historical images. So here we have Gaza City in 2020. Let's get forward to today. Jose, can you see the screen?
No, but I've seen it before.
Okay, great. Well, then it's fucking extra disgusting that you're making the claims you're making. But for everybody else at home, we skip forward to today, and you tell me, does this look like restraint? Does this look like the most moral army in the world, making very specific targeted attacks just against, specific militant operatives? Does this look like anything else? It looks
like every other war ever in the history of the world.
No, it fucking doesn't, you liar. Look at this from 2020. Scroll out. Look at all these green fields. Let's go down to Khan Yunis and take a look at all these beautiful standing buildings. And then skip forward to today. Does this look like every other war? A complete city annihilated. Absolute destruction. As we actually saw in those quotes I gave you, we will turn them into rubble. The entire nation is responsible. The focus is on damage, not accuracy. Here's 2020. And here's today. This isn't even today. This is from 2024. This is from a year ago. So it's only gotten worse from here. If you can look at these images that you can see with your own fucking eyes and tell me that this is how a war is supposed to go, you're fucking delusional. With that, you can pull me back over to the side so that everyone doesn't see my ugly face anymore.
It's collective punishment. It's collective punishment. Everybody is suffering.
That is what collective punishment is. That is what collective punishment means. Let's talk to Jose again. Jose, you think that fucking counts as every other war ever in the history of the world?
Look at Mariupol right now.
Oh, the Ukrainian city is what you're saying? You think that Russia destroyed the civilian centers? I think that they have destroyed some, and it's been really ugly. But are you telling me that you think that that's okay? That that's a good thing? Israel has absolutely
Forrest
done
used the word should. Forrest specifically said, you think war should be conducted this way? Absolutely not. War should not be conducted this way or any way at all. But my point was that this is just a war like any other war.
No, I'm going to mute you for just a second. Let me clarify this. Russia and Israel are both authoritarian, dirty governments full of corruption and absolutely completely amoral. When you find commonalities between them, I can't imagine you like trying to defend one off of another. Like that blows my mind. Aside from that, what Israel is doing is absolutely unequivocally, objectively worse than what Russia is doing in Ukraine right now, because Ukrainians have an army to fight back and they're actually pushing back to some degree. Gazans really don't have an army to speak of, and they're bombing cities indiscriminately. I remember watching video footage from Russia where they went in and took advantage of innocent women and did absolutely unspeakable things, bodies laying on the ground and everything. And that was when that's when Ukraine had an army built up pushing against it. Just because Russia wasn't capable of doing what Israel was capable of doing to Gaza, because there wasn't the same amount of pushback in Gaza, does not mean that it's excusable to any degree or that they're similar in any way or whatever else. All right, I'm unmuting you now.
Yeah, and so that wasn't my argument, right? I didn't just pull this out of my butt. I have a reason why I think that Israel did it that way. You know, am I justifying it? Absolutely not. But Ukraine's fighting a uniformed, traditional World War II style enemy, whereas, you know, Israel's fighting something more akin to a drug cartel. So it's going to be different. But Israel had reasons for why they did it that way, and I'm not trying to justify that. But it is not a war crime, and it is not genocide. I'm sorry.
It is a war crime when civilians are being targeted or hit indiscriminately. I don't care. Look, it's like Bill Burr made this joke recently. You go over to your neighbor's house, and he holds a baby up to protect himself from being punched. You can't punch through the baby. You have to work around that. Leg sweep him or something. You can't just like hurt innocent people like that. There's no excuse. I don't give a shit if it is a drug cartel. You cannot drop bombs indiscriminately on cities to take out a drug cartel. It has to be.
Let's talk about indiscriminately. You just made another assertion. Indiscriminate.
Look, let me say why it's not. No, we literally saw it.
No, I'm just sorry. We literally saw it. And also, that's what they fucking said they were doing. They said the focus is on damage, not accuracy. They are doing what they said they were going to do. Not to mention the fact that we have now they bombed 36 hospitals. The last time I checked, the number was 36. And that's why we have tens of thousands of civilians dead. We have them on camera, IDF members, dressing up as doctors to go into a hospital to then shoot people in their beds that they later claimed were actually terrorists. It doesn't matter if they were. It doesn't matter if they were the worst Hamas members in the world. They were in a hospital seeking treatment. That makes it a war crime to kill them there. It is a war crime to use white phosphorus. Israel has used white phosphorus. It is a war crime to bomb hospitals. Israel has bombed hospitals. It is a war crime to engage in collective punishment. Owen showed you a clip of Israel not only engaging in collective punishment, but bragging about it. It is a war crime to indiscriminately kill civilians. We have video of them indiscriminately killing civilians. As I have said several times, we have pictures of babies with fucking bullets in them. We have fucking Hind Rajab's entire story is that. We have tons and tons and tons of examples of war crime after war crime after war crime after war crime. And you're sitting here making excuses for it by saying that the enemy is this and that and the other. There is no excuse. That's what I'm trying to get across to you, Jose. It doesn't matter how evil Hamas is. It doesn't matter how much Palestinians hate Israelis or whatever other fucking propaganda talking point that you want to throw at us. It doesn't fucking matter. War crimes are wrong. Period. And this fits the definition of genocide plainly.
Am I live?
Yep.
For a minute more.
Okay, well, I mean, I just have to say I disagree. You've made a lot of assertions, very little evidence, but I have one question. If I see a picture of a baby with bullet holes, is that a war crime? 1, Hamas has guns too, and they shoot civilians. 2, if an Israeli soldier does kill a civilian, that's just a rogue guy. That's a war crime, but that's not genocide. And everything that you described as genocide describes every war ever that I've ever heard. And I study history, so, you know, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. But you calling it a genocide with most of the country not believing you is doing great harm to your own cause. And, of course, is doing harm to our country. Look what we have in office right now because of that. That's it.
Okay, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, and you should be fucking disgusted with yourself for saying it. First of all, one guy doing one thing, being a rogue soldier and all that shit, would be great if it wasn't happening all the fucking time. If we didn't have actual video of IDF soldiers kicking people off of the I cannot handle you being such a fucking douchebag and interrupting us all the fucking time. We are telling you things that you can look up on video and see with your own fucking eyes. We have video of IDF soldiers kicking people off of fucking roofs. We have video of IDF soldiers shooting innocent people, bombing innocent people. We have video of the fucking bomb things from the plane, the drones, showing them striking people just walking down the fucking road. And to say, oh, one soldier did it. No, it isn't just one soldier. And both Owen and I have shown you the intention behind it from the mouths of the Israeli fucking officials. And then you're going to sit here and say you disagree when we are literally giving you the textbook definition of the term. I don't give a shit if you disagree. That's what the word is. That's what the word means. That's the way the word is used. We are speaking appropriately. You are grumpy about it. This is facts over feels here. And finally, for you to say, well, most of the country doesn't agree, and that means that Trump's in office. Who gives a shit if we get Trump elected for doing the right fucking thing? I would rather stand up for what's right and try to prevent genocide than pander to bullshit to allow thousands and millions of people to die just to try to avoid electing this fucking fascist. I am on the record on this show talking about this point during the election. You can go look up the clip of me and Josie on fucking Cuz I Wanna, where we're taking calls from Trump voters, people who are going to vote for Trump, and that exact point came up. Well, this is going to get Trump elected. And so what's the answer? Do nothing? Ignore it? Just say that it isn't happening? Say that Israel's right as they starve millions of people to death? Just to say we can just sit back with our arms folded and watch the shit unfold? Fuck no. And fuck you for suggesting it. It is imperative for all of us to use our voices for the people who don't have any. It is imperative for all of us to speak up on the platforms that we have for the starving children that don't get that chance. And for you to suggest that we should avoid doing that for political convenience is fucking gross. With that, we have another caller on the line. Oh, no, they dropped. We had another caller waiting that said what's happening in Gaza isn't genocide. I was down to switch over there, but I guess not anymore. I have one final question for Jose, and and Jose just hung up too. My final question for anybody watching this shit then, because Jose is a fucking bitch that hung up, and the other person who was saying Gaza isn't genocide is a bitch that hung up. So for anybody else who's watching this and still thinks that maybe we're missing something here and that all this shit is justifiable, I present to you this gambit. Every single member of Hamas is hiding in your town. Every single one of them. And also every person in Al-Qaeda. And everybody in Boko Haram. And every other terrorist group in the whole fucking world. They're all hiding in your community. Do you think that we should be using the exact same tactics as they're using in Gaza for you? Should you be put into a little box and bombed into oblivion? Every church, every school, every hospital, every refugee camp, everywhere, obliterated, starved, no water, no electricity, no food, soldiers marching up and down the street, shooting people with wanton abandon. Do you think that these same tactics should be used on you if there's a terrorist around you? Or is it only brown people over there that you're okay with this shit? Is it only those people that are subhuman enough to be held accountable for the actions of a fucking terrorist organization? Millions of people starved to death because some terrorists did some terrorism. Shame on you. for thinking this shit. You should be fucking embarrassed about yourself. And because you probably won't be, I'll be disgusted for you. Owen, any further thoughts on this one?
No, I don't think so. I couldn't have said it better myself. Absolutely. It's, it's absolutely undeniable at this point what is happening. And I refuse to accept that people who claim that it is not at the bare minimum an ethnic cleansing, at least, I refuse to accept that those people are acting in good faith. That's all I got.
It just fucking sucks when you have somebody who calls in to say we're using this word incorrectly, doesn't know what the fucking word means, and then after having the word repeated defined for them and repeated for them several times, can end the call by saying, I just don't believe you. That sounds like hearsay. Because I have some Israeli propaganda that says we're letting food in. I don't, fuck, 50-something thousand people? Who knows what happened to them? They're all dead. After all, that was the Gaza Health Ministry that counted those bodies. So, never mind the fact that independent organizations have fact-checked it and said that it's probably significantly higher numbers. No. At the end of the day, these are just some fucking people in Palestine bitching. And so who cares, right? This isolated terrorist organization should just do what we want. And then 2 million people can be treated like human beings again, as long as they get the fuck out of the land we want, right? Disgusting.
Right, and one last thing I wanted to mention, it's hard to know exactly how many people have died over there or whatever because of all the chaos, but I do know that there were about 2.2 million or 2.3 before October 7th, and Donald Trump sat there with Netanyahu in conversation in front of the press and said there are about 1.7 million now. So, what can we infer from that? About 500,000 deaths. I mean, I don't know if it's that high. I don't know. I'm just going off of what Trump is saying.
Right. Fucking gross, dude.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. Did you know we saw what you were doing when you watched it?
We saw all of it. All of it. All of it.
All of it. So you're going to want to pay us hush money over at patreon.com/calltheline, where you can buy our silence and watch our patron exclusive podcast.